Right, well, it's the 29th of June 2007, Saturday. My wife came home from her eye operation yesterday. An update on that is she's having to put in drops, obviously. One of them is dexamethasone. A little bit concerned of this one because this was the drop she was given originally when she started having a rejection 8 months ago. She got a... Does the sound just go off then? I do apologise if it did. Anyway, I'd been given dexamethasone 8 months ago. When they went back, she had very high pressure. It was actually 60. Bearing in mind that I think 13 is normal, 20 is tolerable, but anything over that is a bit of a worry, especially if it's over 30. So it's 60, and that was really bad, and they took her off that, and they put her on Vexil, which is a very light steroid. Now, then they decided, and I think this was wrong, because when she was given back Vexil, her pressure went back to normal. She had no more pressure problems, until they decided that they needed a little bit more oomph to get rid of this rejection, and so they put her on dexamethasone again. She was on that for a week. Her pressure shot up again. It wasn't 60, but it was about 40, 50, I seem to remember. She went in emergency, and they took her off it again, and put back on Vexil. And ever since then, her pressure's been an issue. Now obviously no one can ever tell whether it was that second lot of dexamethasone putting her on, which they did in good faith, I'm sure, but because they knew she had an intolerance to it from the first time they didn't know, but for the second time they knew she had an intolerance, so maybe they shouldn't have given it to her a second time, fearing that this might happen. But they did. But then it possibly could have been the Vexil as well, which is a very light steroid, but maybe the added effects of it over time, or maybe even due to the rejection itself. Who can tell? But anyway, there is an issue with her and dexamethasone, so a bit worried that she's having to put it in every 2 hours now, because we don't want to go around in a circle that when we go back on Tuesday they say, oh, the pressure's now 30 and then we have to go for another operation. There's only so much eye they can start cutting away at, and then they have to start thinking about an amide valve, where they should put a valve inside the eye. So anyway, let's hope this is just, because they need to give it to her, and that it doesn't have any long-term effects. But they can't make the mistake again if it wasn't their mistake. Anyway, I shouldn't really complain, because they've recovered a rejection, and they've they did the best they can, and you never know how different patients are going to react to different medicines, what side effects are going to happen. She's also complaining of obviously her eyes hurting still, but she's given her tablets, but her legs are hurting as well a little bit. I think because they give people who go to operations like tights for deep vein thrombosis, because they lie in bed for a little while. So it's probably just that bruised her a little bit. So yeah, basically at the moment she's taking drops and still feeling a bit tired from the painkiller analgesic they've given her for the pain, and also the anaesthetic's probably still taking a bit out of her strength. So it's a slow process at the moment, but the eye looks a lot better. Before, for the 8 months, it's still very red, and you could see like veins in the eye, very red. Now it looks clear and it looks white, and there's no redness, which is surprising considering she's only just had an operation on it. So it's looking very good, but looks can be deceptive. The only thing I forgot to mention about was I remembered when I was editing this for YouTube, was the moment, I don't think I mentioned it, when they put her to sleep. It's the third time I've seen her put to sleep. It's getting easier each time, but I remember the first time I saw her be put to sleep, it reminded me of how someone might die the other way. They just fade away because you're there and she's awake, and they put the first amount of liquid in that makes you dizzy in the head. Then they put the next lot in, which I'm not sure is that paralyzer, and then they put the last lot in, which completely takes you, and you start to babble, He started to say things, and she always repeats the last word she's saying. Yeah, like if it was good, and then she would say good, 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 good. I think it's where the brain doesn't know what's going on a bit, and it's losing it, and it thinks it hasn't said it, so it keeps saying it. Probably something like that. But when she shuts down, and then she just seems to stop, you know, and she's not moving. The first time I saw that, it was very emotional, you know. It was like I actually witnessed her death. I thought, you know, that she had died, and it was like I'd witnessed that. And it's something to be seen. Second time was, you know, it was better. This time, you know, I'm used to it now, and, you know, it was okay. But I didn't mention that, I forgot. I think I've mentioned everything else. There's a lot of waiting. Yeah, at the hospital, waiting around, and that's probably the worst thing. Waiting for the operation, waiting for the results, waiting, you know, for recovery and all that type of stuff, and waiting for the time just to pass. It's a shame it can't be organised better, but on the upside I must say that the staff there, you know, the doctors and the nurses and the carers, well, they were brilliant, they were wonderful. So caring, so kind, and completely different to a London hospital. If I ever do read out that Ealing Hospital poem I wrote when my wife was in there, you'll see the difference. But like London hospitals, they look dirtier, and, you know, obviously there's a lot more people in them, but there's just not the same kind of care that you get in the Sea Grinstead one. I know it's got less people there, and it's a specialist unit to do with refraction and eyes and maxillofacial, you know, burns victims. So I know it's got less people, and, you know, yeah, obviously that's what it is, but that's what hospitals should be like. They should be clean, they should be friendly, you know. I'm not saying that Ealing and Hillingdon and the other London ones weren't. They were friendly as well, but this was ultra friendly. And they handled themselves very well in difficult situations, because patients get nervous, and, you know, they're scared, and they ask too many things, or they say certain things, and these nurses took it in their stride. And it's a credit to them, and to the hospital, and to the NHS, which I must mention. I just wanted to say that I know from speaking to friends and Europe and America that, you know, you have to pay for your operations, whereas obviously with the NHS, and it's free mostly. I mean, I know people who work will pay for it, but people who don't have money do not have to feel the burden of having to try and get money for operations that they should be given by the state, by the world, and I must say that those people in power who run these countries, and are not, it's not like some people like to believe, a civilised versus a non-civilised thing. Obviously there are some countries that are poor, and that's a different story, but there are countries that are wealthy, that have nuclear power, that have lots of the other wealthy things that countries may have, even if they do keep their population poor. And even like somewhere like America, where you have to pay insurance for most medical conditions. I don't know about everything, so excuse me if I'm wrong there. So it's not an issue, it's an issue of country, and it's an issue of social welfare and basic human right, I believe, that every country should look after its citizens. And it is disgusting, absolutely disgusting, how these people in power can sit down every single day when they have that power and let people have to try and do all sorts of things to get money for operations, or die because they can't pay for them. Whereas here in the UK we have the NHS. It's possible. We make the choices on this planet. We decide how things go. We shouldn't let people in countries that don't have money pay for medicine so they can survive, when we have it here and we can make it. Medicines and housing and social welfare, looking after the old, and all these things, these moral codes, should be free. There should be no money attachment, no need for money at all. They should be just part of something we should be doing as human beings for each other. And it disgusts me, beggars belief, that we've come so far and we've designed so many things that we can spend millions and billions of pounds on sports competitions and concerts and all sorts of things that aren't really necessary. but yet we cannot make sure that people don't die of diseases that they shouldn't be, and look after them. Anyway, I think that's a good end for this. That's it for now. I'll keep you updated, and I should be reading out the 4 poems that I wrote whilst the operation was taking place on site. Okay, that's it for now. Bye bye.